This is a Ford 641 Workmaster Tractor with a 725 loader. It's made by Ertl and it's in 1/16 scale. Now this is number 6 in the original Precision series from Ertl, and it's a really nice piece. This thing weighs a metric ton. It is almost entirely metal, and there's very little plastic used anywhere on this tractor, and it really shows up in that the details are just fantastic. One of the nice things about Ertl is, especially on these precision tractors, they really did a good job just nailing all the details and everything. It would have been easy for them to just do the 641 tractor and then throw the loader on it and call it a day, but they went so far as to include the wheel weights on the rear wheels, and that's really nice. And you'll notice these wheel weights are kind of strange. It looks like a pie. They call them pie weights, and I think the idea was that you could add as much weight as you wanted, but you had to keep it even. And I don't think I've ever seen these where they weren't completely filled in. And the other reason was that instead of having like a 150-pound piece of metal or a 75-pound piece of metal, you know, broken into two halves, they were all pretty manageable pieces that you could just bolt in as you wanted. But it kind of looks to me like that's an awful lot of work to get yourself, you know, 150 or 200 pounds on the wheel. But anyway, so taking a look at the tractor is just, the detail is just phenomenal. Everything that you think should be on the tractor is there. All the hydraulic lines and everything are just fantastic. The controls for the loader are there. Everything in the operator station is where it should be. The 3-point hitch is really nice. PTO and everything is cool. Now the steering is, I don't think it's functional. You can just barely see the arm moving to control the steering. I don't believe it's hooked to the steering wheel. I don't know. I don't really want to force it too much because I don't want to break it. I know the other precision tractors did steer, but this is a little bit more of a complicated steering system than what would be on a narrow front or one of the other wide front tractors. Now, you notice the plastic on the wheels. A lot of guys that buy these precision tractors, especially when they first came out, they either wouldn't open the box or they would never take the plastic off the wheels. I don't really think that's a big deal, at least not to me, but other guys really care about whether or not the plastic is on the tires. And it's one of those things that it kind of is the way it is. People make a big deal about leaving the plastic on the wheels. So anyway, one of the interesting things about Ford was they had a partnership going back to, I want to say it's the 30s or maybe it's the 40s. Henry Ford had a partnership with Harry Ferguson to make a utility tractor. Ford had been making tractors, and Harry Ferguson had also been making tractors, but they decided to come together because the Fordson that Ford had put up, or had been putting out, they weren't that great. They just weren't. They weren't terribly reliable, but they were cheap. You know, they were very affordable. And so they basically wanted to come together and make a better tractor through Harry Ferguson, but make it affordable through Henry Ford. And that's where you come up with like the 2Ns and 8Ns and the Ferguson like 30 and 35 and all that. And the TO30s, I guess, would be a better way to, you know, better way to do it, go back a generation. So anyway, so they come up with the basic utility tractor design that they use forever. And what's interesting is Ford never really got away from that design. I mean, they went probably 30 years and they kept the basic utility tractor design. They just beefed up everything, but they kept the same ideas. Ferguson did for a little bit, and then they really made some improvement. They actually made a pretty decent tractor out of it. Not that the Fords aren't decent also, but you essentially have a tractor from the 40s that's been just beefed up and beefed up and beefed up and beefed up. And when you compare that to other manufacturers that were building utility tractors from scratch and really updating them every time they did a new series, there was a lot of features that other manufacturers had that Ford wouldn't. And this is really a great example. So it's got an actual Ford loader on it. And the 641 is a late 50s, early 60s tractor. And by this time, a lot of aftermarket manufacturers had jumped in and started coming up with implements and tools that you could use based on the tractor's hydraulic system. And it was really, really interesting just because you had a piece of machinery that was made for a farm, and you had all this innovation coming out that you could take this farm tractor and you could put it into 100 different places and use it 100 different ways based on the hydraulic system. For example, you have this loader tractor here. You could put this, at work, to work in a city or like a factory or whatever, clearing snow or doing property maintenance. You could put it into construction and earth moving, doing fine grading with it. All these different non-farm uses out of a farm tractor. And so coming back around, so Ford was actually making their own loaders. A lot of the manufacturers started to do it, but Ford really did a good job with it. And they made them so that they would really integrate into the tractor. You can see how it bolts onto the rear axle, so you're pushing from your rear axle. You can really see how it just kind of comes in line with all your power is coming from here and it's pushing from here, so it kind of it helps keep strength where it needs to be in the tractor and in the frame. Now, that being said, one of the really interesting things is you look at that belly or that front mounted PTO pump, or the hydraulic pump rather, and the reason that's there is because Ford made the tractor, they made the loader, but they didn't really make the tractor to have a loader on it. It was kind of an afterthought that, oh hey, this is something we should really be doing. We're not going to change the rest of the tractor. We'll just stick a hydraulic pump off the front to run off the front of the motor, and that's what will run the loader. And it was kind of a goofy design. Did it work? Yes. Was it practical? Was it probably too late to have a front-mounted pump to run the hydraulics? Yeah, other manufacturers were doing a better job than what Ford was, but they still built a pretty stout tractor. And one of the funny things about the Fords is they're really heavy. Like, they're surprisingly heavy machines, and along with the motors and the transmissions, they're really surprisingly strong. And they actually make for a pretty decent loader tractor, which is funny because just looking at them, they don't look that great, but if you actually run one, they will surprise you. So anyway, that's enough rambling about this. Overall, it's a really nice model. If you had the chance to pick one up, just like almost all of the rest of the Ertl Precisions, they're great. They're great quality. They really are. The earlier tractors are even better than the ones they put out now because I think they have just a little bit better quality control, and it really shows on this because this is just a fantastic model. But anyway, like I said, it's really nice. It looks great on the shelf. It looks fantastic with all the other precision tractors, and I'm definitely a fan. So anyway, that's about it for this tractor. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask. If you like the video, throw a thumbs up on it. If you have anything you'd like to see, let me know. I might just have it. If you want to see more of what we have, please subscribe to Maryland Construction Diecast. And thanks for watching.